Good morning. I am Pandu, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Science and Engineering, NPO Institute of Technology. Today, we are discussing about an important tool is called Flume. Flume is one of the tool in Hadoop ecosystem. Now, today we have these are the topics. What is Flume? Flume Overview, Flume versus Scope, Flume Architecture, Building blocks of Flume, Configuring Flume Agent, Flume Commands. So, what is Flume? Flume, if you see the meaning of the Flume, Flume is nothing but a stream of water. So, we have many tools in Hadoop ecosystem. A Flume is a tool which collects the data from real time servers, real time websites like social media, etc. Collects the stream of data from these real time systems and transfers the data to the Hadoop HDFS file system or Hadoop database. So, Flume is a tool which collects a stream of data from various data sources. It is a mechanism to collect the data from various sources. After collecting this data, it aggregates, and after aggregation, it moves the data to the HDFS file system or a database. Now you can see in the picture the how the Flume works. So left side you can see a log or event data generator, and left side you can see that various website like Twitter, various cloud services, Facebook, LinkedIn, and other servers. For example, if you take the Amazon, if they have sold an item, on that item they want to collect the people behavior, people thinking, people approach. So what they will do? They have recently sold an item. They want to collect the people's behavior on that particular item. So Flume is a tool which collects the data from various social medias. After collecting that, directly to transfer to that HDFS file system. So there in HDFS file systems or database where we have that Hadoop which collects the data from HDFS and analyze using various mining techniques and generate that mining knowledge. Based on that mining knowledge or people behavior or people approach, next the Amazon can take the decision on the further. So like that, Flume is a tool which collects the data from different sources, online sources, directly to the HDFS system where data analyzed and knowledge is generated. Based on the knowledge, next whether we have to expand the number of sales, we have to reduce, what about the market, what is the competitions, all things will be analyzed. So Flume primarily designed for log aggregation. So in real time systems, the data is stored in the form of logs. So the Flume is a tool which collects data directly from the logs to the HDFS system. Flume Overview, where you can see the diagram. So we have different data, Flume data sources. We have data source 1, 2, and 3, and we have the Flume collector node where data it collects in one place. After collecting, it aggregates the data and transfers to that HDFS. So how the process is streaming data as ingestion into the HDFS. So the Flume is designed to capture data as it is generated from various social medias. After collecting the data, is transfers through the channel to the HDFS storage through a proper sequence and processing. Each data item captured is called as an event in Flume. There are other tools also is there in Hadoop ecosystem. The one of the important tool is Scoop, and Scoop job is also same as the Flume. The what is the difference between Scoop and Flume? Now we can see that Scoop source is any kind of RDBMS. That means if you want to analyze and if you see that Scoop tool how it can be used, if you see the organizations, most of the organizations, online businesses, they have their own RDBMS. So whatever the transaction, day-to-day activities will be stored in RDBMS. So if you want to analyze that organization data for a particular purpose, then using Scoop you can transfer the RDBMS data into the HDFS database or HDFS file system. After transferring there, then using the Hadoop tool, we analyze the data using some mining techniques and generate the knowledge. From the knowledge, data decision can be taken. But whereas Flume is a tool which directly collects the data from the log points or data generating point. It is not collecting data from the database. Wherever, like any live show is going, cricket, all those things. So from there, the data will be collected directly to that HDFS system. From there, the data will be analyzed. What will be the next decision? So Flume streaming data sources, whereas Scoop source is any kind of RDBMS. Flume used for collecting and aggregating the data. So it collects data directly from the generating points and then aggregate and transfer to the HDFS. But whereas the Scoop, it collects the data from the different RDBMS of the organizations and transfers parallelly for analyzation. So both are using for the real world problem solvings. And Flume, one of the set uses this. Golbo uses a Flume to transfer log from the production systems into HDFS. So direct connection from the generating data to the HDFS, whereas coupons.com it uses to transfer its IBM NetJaw data warehouse to the Scoop or Hadoop environment. Yes, now we can see here the diagram of Flume architecture. So Flume is an agent or a tool. It has three components. Yes, it has three components: Flume data sources, a data channel, and a Flume sync. So whatever this Flume agent is a GVM process. So it collects the data from various web servers, online sources, social medias through the Flume data sources. After collecting this data, yes, It handles that the logical data collection and failures, and it transfers to that a Flume data channel. Through data channel, the data receives to the received at a Flume sync. From a Flume sync, the data is transferred to the HDFS. Event generated by the external sources or consumed by the Flume data sources. The external sources sends the events to the Flume source in a format that is recognized by the target source. Flame source receives an event and stores it into one or more channels. The channel acts as store which keeps the event until it is consumed by the flu sync. All the channels are a local file systems stores these events. The Flume syncs removes the events from the channel and stores it into the external repositories like HDFS. So where the Flume can have multiple agents which transfers the data to the multiple channels to the sync. Through sync data will flows to the HDFS. As we said, the Flume consists of three main components. One is source, another one is channel and sinks. Source responsible to send the event to the channel is connected to may have logical relating to reading data, translate to event, handle failures. It has no control over how the event is stored in channel. So it supports netcat, exec, avro, tcp, udp, other data sources. The second one is the channel. The channel connects the source and the sink. Channel acts as a buffer with configurable capacity. It has its own capacity, maybe in kinds of bytes, kilobytes, megabytes. Channel can be in a memory, persistence, or a file, or a database. Durable channel must be for the recoverability. Sync waits for events from the configured channel responsible to send the event to the desired output. Manage issues like time, outs, retries. Can set up sync group as long as the sync is the group is available the agent with function. So like that, the Flume agent has the three components. One is collects the data, so another communicate through the channel, and all this data is sync in a particular place. After syncing, then data is given to that HDFS file system in a particular manner. Now, how to configure the Flume agent? The Flume agent are configured using a plain text configuration files. Flume configuration uses the properties file format, which is simply plain text file, while newline spread key value page. So now we are discussing the three components source, channel, and sync. How these three components are configured of a Flume and how the data is transferred from online sources to the HDFS database. The first agent. So there are many agents are there. We select one agent. Agent 1 is a source, that is R1. With the same agent, we have a sink, the K1. The same agent, agent 1, we have the channel C1. So these are the three components. Then we have to configure the source. Yes, that is data source. So we are configuring the source R1 of type netcat with the same agent, and then source R1, and it is binding with a particular IP address or local host. The same source agent having some particular port number where it communicates. Then we have the sync component, sync K1 of type logger because it's in a memory with the agent 1. Then we are configuring the channel as nothing but a buffer or memory. The channel C1 type agent 1 of type memory. Channel channel capacity, the capacity total, how much it can store, 1000 with the agent 1. And we have the transaction capacity, how much it can return the data, with the same agent is 100. So after configuring the data source, sync and channel, then we are going to bind it. So we are binding this channel and sync with the source. Bind the source and sync to the channel. So now channel C1 and source agent. So channel is binded with that agent 1 source, and the sync and channel is binded with the agent 1. So after binding this a Flume agent, we have to open the console. So where we have to start the Flume agent. The Flume ng is in a command where agent is command to start the Flume agent, and minus n is a name, the name of the Twitter agent, Facebook agent, or a LinkedIn agent, or any WhatsApp agent. Then we have the configuration, minus configuration. So in the starting, we have to configure the Flume agent through a particular file directory. So we have taken configure flume example.conf. Then we have minus f, the specified configuration file path, and g property value sets a Java system property value. Thank you.